This story is titled, I Worked 80-hour a week for 3 years to pay off the mortgage early. When I finally did it, my wife said, "Great, now I can divorce you without losing the house." I smiled and handed her the mail. That night she called me 17 times. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. I, 36 male, have been sitting here for the past hour trying to figure out how to even start this. My hands are still shaking as I type this. Sorry if this gets long, but I need to get this all out and could use some outside perspective. I met my wife Jessica, 32 female, at my buddy Dave's Super Bowl party about 8 years ago. I almost didn't go that night. Had been pulling double shifts all week and was dead tired. But Dave insisted, saying I needed to get out more. It was at his new place, this nice townhouse he'd just bought in a neighborhood I definitely couldn't afford on my supervisor's salary at the manufacturing plant. Jessica was Dave's girlfriend's co-worker at this upscale salon where she worked as a stylist. Not just any stylist, but the senior color specialist, who charged $200 for highlights, as she made sure to tell me within the first 5 minutes of our conversation. That night, she laughed at all my jokes, seemed genuinely interested in my boring stories about working at the manufacturing plant, and honestly looked way out of my league in this tight red sweater I still remember vividly. She had this way of touching my arm when she laughed, and kept tucking her hair behind her ear, in a way that made my stomach flip. We hit it off, exchanged numbers, and within a month, we were officially dating. Jessica was everything I wasn't. Outgoing, stylish, and always knew exactly what to say in social situations. Where I'd get awkward at gatherings, she'd work the room like she was born for it. She had this confidence that was almost intimidating. She'd just walk up to complete strangers, and within minutes have them laughing like old friends. Her Instagram had thousands of followers, who were always commenting on her outfit posts and salon transformations. Meanwhile, my social media was basically just me posting pictures of my truck and occasionally my mom's dog. I thought we balanced each other perfectly. She pulled me out of my shell, and I gave her, well, I was never quite sure what she saw in me, to be honest. My buddies, especially Ryan and Kevin from work, kept joking that she seemed high maintenance, but I ignored them. Ryan actually pulled me aside at our 6-month anniversary dinner that Jessica insisted we have at this fancy steakhouse where appetizers cost more than I usually spent on an entire meal, and said, "Dude, are you sure about this girl? She just spent 20 minutes telling us how much her shoes cost." I brushed him off. I mean, she was gorgeous, fun, and for some reason seemed into me, a slightly overweight maintenance supervisor who hadn't dated anyone seriously in years. Who was I to question my good luck? After dating for about a year and a half, we got married in a ceremony that cost way more than I was comfortable with, $32,000. But Jessica insisted we needed to do it right. Her parents contributed some, but I ended up putting about $15,000 on credit cards to cover the rest. Looking back, that should have been my first red flag, but I was too busy being the luckiest man alive to notice. The first couple years were decent enough. We'd fight about money sometimes. Jessica always wanted new furniture, fancy dinners out, or weekend trips that we couldn't really afford. But we'd always make up, and I figured that's just how marriage worked. Give and take, right? When we found our house, a 3-bedroom ranch in a decent neighborhood about 25 minutes from my work, Jessica immediately started talking about how we could remodel it to look like something from those home renovation shows she was obsessed with. It was listed at $275,000, which was stretching our budget, but Jessica kept saying it had potential and would be perfect for entertaining her friends. Since her credit was trashed from maxed out credit cards and unpaid medical bills, the mortgage had to go in my name only. Our loan officer, this older guy named Bill, actually pulled me aside during the process and said, "Son, just make sure you know what you're getting into here." I thought he was just being old-fashioned about marriage. Turns out, Bill had seen this shit before. 2 years into the mortgage, we got hit with a perfect storm of expenses. The HVAC system died in the middle of summer, a $7,800 replacement. My truck needed a new transmission, $3,200. And Jessica needed some dental work that our insurance only partially covered, $4,500. She cried for days about the pain, until I agreed to put it on my credit card. What was I supposed to do? Let my wife suffer? That's when I got the idea to accelerate our mortgage payments. Our 30-year loan had us paying nearly double the principal and interest over the life of the loan. But my buddy Ryan had just paid off his condo in 5 years by working tons of overtime and living super frugally. I did the math and figured with enough extra income, we could be mortgage-free in about 3 years. When I pitched the idea to Jessica, she seemed hesitant. But what about our life? Our plans to travel? Starting a family? I explained that it would be temporary pain for permanent gain. Just think, no mortgage payment ever again. We'd have an extra $1,800 a month to do whatever we want. We could build that dream kitchen you've been talking about. That last part got her attention. She started scrolling through Pinterest, showing me fancy kitchen renovations. We could do this after it's paid off? Promise? Absolutely, I said, already calculating how many extra shifts I'd need to pick up. What I didn't realize was that Jessica had a very different renovation plan in mind, one that didn't include me. So began the most brutal 3 years of my life. I volunteered for every overtime shift at the plant, including holidays and overnights. I picked up side gigs installing security systems on weekends through my buddy Kevin's company. I even started doing oil changes and basic auto repairs for people in our neighborhood. Some weeks I was pulling 85 to 90 hours of work. My routine became wake up at 4 a.m., work my regular 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift, grab a quick dinner, usually fast food in my truck, then either work overtime until 10 p.m. or head straight to a side job until late. Weekends were fully booked with whatever paying gigs I could find. I was bringing in almost double my regular salary, and every extra penny went straight to the mortgage. My body started breaking down. I developed this constant pain in my lower back that no amount of ibuprofen could touch. By the second year, I was taking so much of it that I started getting stomach problems, sharp pains that would wake me up at night. My doctor warned me about developing an ulcer, but I didn't have time to deal with that. I started getting these killer migraines that would make me throw up if I didn't catch them early enough with medication. There were days when the pain was so bad, I'd have to pull over on the side of the road and just sit there with my eyes closed, fighting waves of nausea until the meds kicked in. I lost about 25 pounds because I was too busy to eat properly. Most meals were fast food grabbed on the way to or from somewhere, or sometimes just protein bars and energy drinks to keep me going through 16-hour days. My hands developed this constant tremor from exhaustion and caffeine. My buddy Ryan started calling me the ghost because I was pale, thin, and never around anymore. The worst part was, I started to forget things, important things. I'd find myself standing in a room with no idea why I'd gone there, or driving to a job site only to realize halfway there that I was supposed to be somewhere else. One time I actually fell asleep standing up while leaning against a wall during a brief break at work. My coworker Mike had to catch me before I hit the floor. The worst part was missing important life events. I skipped my best friend's wedding because it conflicted with a big overtime opportunity. I missed my nephew's birth and my grandfather's funeral. I ruined every holiday for 3 years straight because I was either working or too exhausted to participate. My relationship with my parents and brother deteriorated because I barely had time to call them, let alone visit. Jessica's complaints about my absence became a regular thing. "It's like I'm married to a stranger," she'd say when I'd crawl into bed at midnight, too exhausted to even kiss her goodnight. Tina's husband still takes her on date nights even with their schedule. Tina was her friend from the salon whose husband was some kind of sales executive. "You never spend time with me anymore," she'd complain on the rare Sundays I had off. "All my friends think I'm basically single at this point." But then I'd show Jessica our mortgage statements. Every extra payment was cutting months off our loan term. After the first year, we'd already shaved 8 years off the 30-year mortgage. After the second year, we were on track to be done in just 12 more months. "See?" I'd tell her, pointing to the declining principal. "All this work is going to be worth it." "I guess," she'd say, suddenly less enthusiastic. "I just miss spending time with you." What I didn't know was that Jessica had started not missing someone else entirely. February 15th. I'll never forget that date. It was supposed to be the day after our delayed Valentine's celebration. I'd worked Valentine's Day. Time and a half pay was too good to pass up, but promised Jessica we'd do something special the next day. I made the final mortgage payment that morning. 3 years of backbreaking work, and we were finally free and clear. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. On my way home, I splurged on an expensive dinner from Maggiano's, Jessica's favorite Italian place. When I pulled into our driveway around 6 p.m., I noticed Jessica's car was there, but so was another car I didn't recognize, a black BMW. Maybe one of her friends was visiting? I decided I'd invite them to join our celebration. The more the merrier, right? I used my key quietly, thinking I might surprise them. That's when I heard Jessica's voice from the kitchen. "So it's official? The house is paid off?" a male voice asked. "As of this morning," Jessica replied, sounding excited. Mike has no idea what's coming. Your lawyer said we're good to go with the filing next week? The guy asked. Absolutely. After working himself to death for 3 years, Mike's too broke and exhausted to put up a fight. The judge will award me the house since I've maintained the marital home while he was absent from the marriage. That's the legal term my lawyer used. I stood frozen in our hallway, still holding the takeout bags. Jessica laughed, a sound I once loved, but now made me sick. I've been stashing away cash for almost 2 years now. Every time he handed me money for groceries or utilities, I'd skim some off the top. I've got almost $22,000 hidden away that he knows nothing about. Smart girl, the guy said. And once the divorce is final, we sell this place, take the equity, and get that condo downtown we've been looking at. Mike's been so obsessed with paying off this boring suburban house, he has no idea I've outgrown all this. I need excitement, not some workaholic husband who passes out by 9 p.m. every night. I recognize the voice now. It was Chad, her salon manager. The guy with the fake tan and the expensive watch who always had some reason to text Jessica after hours about schedule changes. What about his family? Won't they be suspicious? Chad asked. His parents live in Florida now, and his brother's in the military overseas. He barely talks to them anyway because he's been working so much. By the time anyone figures out what happened, it'll all be legal and final. I backed away slowly, went out the front door, and sat in my truck. 3 years of killing myself, ruining my health, missing funerals and weddings and everything that mattered. All to fund Jessica's escape plan with Chad the salon douche. I texted my buddy Kevin. You know that developer who was looking at houses in my neighborhood for that new complex? He's still interested? Kevin replied immediately. Apex Development? Yeah, they're still buying. Why? You finally considering selling? How fast can they close? Cash deal. With no contingencies? Probably 10 to 14 days. They're motivated. You serious about this? Dead serious. Need to meet tomorrow. Don't tell anyone. You got it. Everything okay? I didn't answer. Nothing was okay, but something was about to be very right. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. My supervisor, Tony, actually sounded concerned. You never miss work, Mike. Must be serious. Take care of yourself, man. I met Kevin at his office where he introduced me to Bradley Wilson from Apex Development. Bradley was building some kind of mixed-use property in our area and had been buying up houses. Your location is perfect, Bradley said. Corner lot, good size. We can definitely make you an offer today. I need to move fast, and it needs to be quiet, I told him. My wife can't know about this. Bradley and Kevin exchanged looks. The house is only in my name, I explained. I've checked with a lawyer already. In our state, I can sell without her signature. There might be complications in divorce court later, Bradley warned. Let me worry about that. I just need to know how quickly we can close. Bradley offered $340,000, significantly more than we'd paid. With the housing market boom and the location they wanted, I was in a strong position. I countered at $375,000. We settled at $360,000, cash, with a 12-day close and no contingencies. That same afternoon, I met with a lawyer named Sarah Goldstein, who came highly recommended by Tony as the shark you want when things get ugly. Her office was small but immaculate, and she got straight to the point when I explained my situation. Do you have any recordings of this conversation? Sarah asked. No, but I'm working on getting evidence, I said. Sarah nodded. We'll need proof of her affair and financial deception. In the meantime, don't let on that you know anything. Act normal. And whatever you do, don't move out of the house until I tell you to. What about the sale? I asked. It's a risk, she admitted. But if the house is solely in your name, and you live in a state with separate property laws, you're within your rights. Just be prepared for this to get ugly. For the next 12 days, I put on the performance of a lifetime. I came home at regular times, suggesting we watch movies together or order in dinner. Jessica seemed suspicious of my sudden availability, but didn't question it too much. The project at work finally wrapped up, I explained. Things should be more normal now. I even suggested we plan a weekend getaway to reconnect. Jessica seemed torn, probably because it interfered with whatever plans she had with Chad, but eventually agreed to the following month. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence. I borrowed Jessica's phone one night while she was in the shower and found hundreds of texts between her and Chad going back over a year. I forwarded the most damning ones to myself. I also installed a small recording device in her car, checking with Sarah first to make sure it was legal in our state with one-party consent. Within 2 days, I had Jessica on tape discussing their plans in detail with Chad, including how they plan to take Mike for everything he's worth. The closing happened on day 12, as promised. The funds were wired directly to a new account I'd set up at a different bank than our joint account. Everything was ready. The day after closing, our mortgage company sent the official paid in full letter. I made sure to be home when the mail arrived. Jessica and I sat at the kitchen table as I handed her the letter. Her eyes lit up when she saw the zero balance. "We did it!" she squealed, putting on quite a show. "I can't believe we actually paid it off!" 3 years of hard work, I said quietly. "Worth every minute, don't you think?" "Absolutely!" She nodded enthusiastically. Then she took a deep breath, her expression changing to something more serious. "Actually, Mike, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about." "Here it comes," I thought. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about our future," she continued. "The thing is, I'm not happy. I haven't been for a long time." "Is that right?" I kept my voice neutral. "You've been so absent these past few years. I know you were working hard, but a marriage needs more than financial security." I just stared at her, saying nothing. "I think we should separate," she finally said. "I've already spoken to a lawyer about options." She gave a little smile then, unable to hide her triumph. "And now that the house is paid off, the timing seems right for both of us to move on." I nodded slowly, still silent. Her confidence seemed to grow with my lack of resistance. "I'll be keeping the house, of course. My lawyer says since I've maintained the home while you were elsewhere, I have a strong claim to it. You can stay in the guest room until you find an apartment." I finally spoke. "That's interesting. Your lawyer told you that?" "Yes. It's pretty standard in cases like ours. Cases where the wife has been cheating with her boss for over a year?" Her face went white. "What are you talking about?" I slid my phone across the table, open to the screenshots of text between her and Chad. "You really should use a better password than your birthday." She started to stammer. That's not, you don't understand." "Oh, I think I understand perfectly. You and Chad have quite the plan worked out." I hit play on a recording. "Once Mike's paid off the house, we'll take everything and he'll never know what hit him." Her eyes darted around the room like a cornered animal. That's out of context." "Is it?" "Because it sounds pretty clear to me. As does the $22,000 you've been skimming from our accounts." "Real nice touch, by the way." "You had no right to spy on me," she shrieked, switching from defense to attack. "And you had no right to steal from me or plan to take the house I worked 80-hour weeks to pay off," I countered calmly. "Well, it doesn't matter what you found. The house is still half mine and the court will give it to me." She was getting hysterical now. That's when I slid the final envelope across the table, the closing documents from the sale. "What's this?" she asked, opening it with shaking hands. I watched as her expression changed from confusion to disbelief to rage as she realized what she was looking at. Her perfectly manicured nails crumpled the papers as her knuckles turned white. The color drained from her face before rapidly being replaced by a deep, angry flush that spread up to her hairline. You sold our house?" she screamed, her voice hitting a pitch I'd never heard before. She stood up so quickly her chair fell backward with a crash. "You can't do this! This is my home!" "I sold my house," I corrected her, staying seated and maintaining eye contact. "The one with only my name on the deed. The one I paid for with my sweat and health for 3 years. The one you were planning to take from me after I worked myself half to death." She started pacing frantically, running her hands through her hair, completely destroying the careful styling she'd obviously done for Chad earlier. No. This isn't happening. You can't just sell it without telling me. I live here." "Funny how you can do things behind someone's back, isn't it?" I said, feeling a calmness I hadn't experienced in years. "Really makes you feel blindsided and betrayed, doesn't it? You can't do this. Where am I supposed to go? What about all my plans? My future?" "You mean your future with Chad? I'm sure he has room at his place. Though it might be a bit cramped since he's still living with his mother." "This is illegal!" she screeched. "I'll sue you. I'll take everything." "Actually, my lawyer assures me it's perfectly legal. The house was solely in my name, and in this state, that matters. As for taking everything," I laughed for what felt like the first time in years. "Good luck with that. You have 30 days to vacate the property. The new owners are demolishing it to build a shopping center." She lunged across the table, trying to slap me, but I caught her wrist. "Physical assault won't help your case, Jessica. There are cameras recording right now." She collapsed back into her chair, sobbing. "How could you do this to me? After 8 years together? How could you do this to me?" I asked quietly. "I destroyed my health and gave up 3 years of my life for you." "For US," she insisted. "It was supposed to be for us." "Tell that to Chad," I said, standing up. "I've already moved most of my important stuff out. You can keep the furniture since you picked most of it anyway. Consider it my parting gift." As I walked toward the door, she called after me. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I turned back one last time. Not my problem anymore. Maybe try working 80-hour weeks? I hear it pays well. The next few weeks were wild. Jessica blew up my phone constantly. 43 missed calls in one day alone. The messages ranged from threats to tears to attempted seduction. I made a mistake, baby. I was confused. We can work this out. My favorite was when she finally realized the severity of her situation. You don't understand what you've done. Chad broke things off when he found out about the house. My parents won't let me move back in. I have nowhere to go. I didn't respond to any of it. Sarah, my shark lawyer, advised radio silence except through official channels. Jessica didn't give up easily, though. She went nuclear, telling all our mutual friends that I'd blindsided her with the house sale, that I'd been emotionally abusive during our marriage by being absent, that I'd abandoned her without warning. A few people actually believed her and sent me angry messages, which I simply forwarded to Sarah for the divorce file. The majority of our friends, though, had seen how hard I'd worked over those 3 years. They'd watched me skip social events, lose weight, and deteriorate physically, all while Jessica had continued her regular spa days, shopping trips, and girls' nights out that apparently often included Chad. Jessica's lawyer initially came in hot, demanding half the proceeds from the house sale and alimony. When Sarah presented the evidence of Jessica's affair and financial deception, including the recorded plans to defraud me in the divorce, their tone changed dramatically. But Jessica wasn't going down without a fight. She showed up at my workplace 2 weeks after I moved out, causing such a scene that security had to remove her. She was screaming about how I'd ruined her life and how I'd tricked her into believing in our future together. My boss, Tony, pulled me into his office afterward. I figured I was in trouble, but instead he said, "My brother went through something similar last year. His wife took him for everything. You did good, Mike. You did real good." He then offered me a position in management that would pay better and have regular hours. "You've more than proved your work ethic," he said. The divorce proceedings dragged on for months, with Jessica attempting every dirty trick in the book. She claimed I was abusive, disproven by statements from neighbors and friends. She claimed I had hidden assets. Ironically, the court found her hidden $22,000 account. She even tried claiming I had a gambling problem and had lost the house sale money. Bank statements proved otherwise. Eventually, her own lawyer told her to cut her losses. The final settlement was more generous than Jessica deserved. She got about 15% of the house proceeds, which was basically just her portion of our joint assets. No alimony, no additional claims. During this time, I focused on healing, both physically and mentally. I started seeing a therapist to process the betrayal. I joined a gym with Ryan and slowly started rebuilding my strength. I reconnected with my family, flying to Florida to visit my parents and spending time with my brother when he was on leave. I also started reconnecting with friends I'd lost touch with during those work-filled years. My buddy Dave, whose Super Bowl party had started this whole mess, invited me on a fishing trip with some guys. It was the first time I'd done something purely fun in over 3 years. About 6 months after moving out, I was settling into my new life in a comfortable apartment downtown when my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Mike?" It was Jessica's mother, Linda. "I hope you don't mind me calling you." "What can I do for you, Linda?" I asked cautiously. "It's about Jessica," she sighed. "She's not doing well. She lost her job at the salon. Apparently, the owner found out she was having an affair with Chad and fired them both. She's been staying on our couch, but Robert's patience is wearing thin." Robert was Jessica's father, a no-nonsense contractor who'd always treated me well. "I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not sure what this has to do with me," I said. "She has no money left. What you gave her in the settlement? Well, she spent it all on some foolish investments Chad convinced her to make before he disappeared. She's got nothing, Mike." I waited, knowing what was coming. "We were wondering if you might consider helping her get back on her feet? Just a small loan? For old time's sake?" I almost laughed. "Linda, I worked 80-hour weeks for 3 years while your daughter was planning to divorce me and take everything. She stole money from our accounts and cheated with her boss. And now you want me to give her more money? She's changed, Mike. She's really sorry for what she did. She talks about you all the time, about how she made the biggest mistake of her life. The biggest mistake was getting caught," I corrected her. "Tell Jessica I wish her well, but my answer is no." "But goodbye, Linda." 2 days later, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Robert standing there, looking uncomfortable in a clean work shirt. "Got a minute?" he asked. I let him in, offered him a water, which he accepted gratefully. "I'm not here about money," he said immediately. "Linda shouldn't have called you about that." I told Jessica she made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. I appreciate that, I said. I came to apologize, he continued. We raised her better than this. I don't know where we went wrong, but what she did to you? It wasn't right. I'm ashamed she's my daughter sometimes. We talked for about an hour. Turns out, Robert had suspected something was off with Jessica for a long time, but didn't want to see it. She always had everything handed to her. Linda and I probably spoiled her. Never made her work for anything. As he was leaving, he handed me an envelope. Jessica doesn't know I'm here, and she definitely doesn't know about this. It's not much, but it's what Linda and I can afford right now. Inside was $5,000 cash. I can't accept this, Robert. It's not for the money she stole. That's between you two. This is from Linda and me, for the pain our daughter caused. Please take it. I tried to refuse again, but he insisted. It would help us feel a little less ashamed. I finally accepted, though I later donated it to a charity for men's mental health. Update, 1 year later. It's been a year since my original post, and several people have messaged asking for an update, so here goes. The divorce was finalized about 7 months ago. My life has completely transformed since then. I was promoted at work to operations manager, making better money with normal 40-hour weeks. My health has improved dramatically. Blood pressure back to normal, no more migraines, and I've gained back the weight I'd lost, plus some healthy muscle from regular gym sessions with Ryan and Kevin. I bought a modest condo closer to work and invested the rest of the house money conservatively. Between my 401k and these investments, I'm actually on track to retire early if I wanted to. I've also rebuilt my relationships with family and friends. I visited my parents in Florida twice this year, and was there when my brother got home from his deployment. I've been making up for lost time with my nephew, who's now old enough to go fishing with me. I even started coaching his little league team on weekends. As for Jessica, last I heard through mutual acquaintances, she was working as a receptionist at a budget haircut chain and sharing an apartment with 2 roommates. She'd tried to reconnect with Chad after he moved to a new salon, but he wanted nothing to do with her once she had no money or house to offer. The final cherry on top came when Dave texted me, "Dude, you won't believe who just tried to hit me up on Facebook asking if you were seeing anyone. Please tell me you're joking," I replied. "Wish I was. Jessica's asking if you've processed your anger and might be open to talking again. Says she's grown so much from this experience." I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my drink. What did you tell her? That you're too busy enjoying your life to revisit past mistakes? Also may have mentioned you've been seeing that cool engineer from my work. I had been on a few dates with Megan, an industrial engineer Dave had introduced me to, though it wasn't serious yet. "Thanks for having my back," I texted him. "Always, brother. Some people never learn, but I'm glad you did." The relationship with Megan has been developing slowly but surely. I was hesitant at first, kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. The first time we went out to dinner and she reached for her wallet, I actually thought it was some kind of test. When I insisted on paying, old habits die hard, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "Mike, I asked you out, so I'm paying. Next time can be on you if you want." It was such a simple thing, but it nearly broke me. Unlike Jessica, Megan insists on paying her own way for everything and actually listens when I talk about my day. Not the fake listening Jessica did while scrolling through her phone, but genuine interest, asking follow-up questions and remembering details days later. The first time she brought up something I'd mentioned in passing a week earlier, I was so surprised I didn't know how to respond. She's got her own career as an engineer that she's passionate about, her own friends she regularly makes time for, and doesn't seem to need me to provide anything except companionship and respect. Last month, her car needed expensive repairs, and when I offered to help cover it, she thanked me but declined, saying she had her emergency fund for exactly this reason. I realized then that I'd never once heard Jessica mention saving for emergencies in our entire relationship. It was always, "We'll figure it out," meaning I would figure it out. Last weekend, she asked about my marriage and divorce. I told her everything, expecting her to be scared off by the drama. Instead, she just nodded and said, "That must have been incredibly painful. I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm glad it led you here." Then she changed the subject to our hiking plans for the next day. No drama, no jealousy, no trying to fix me. Looking back now, those 3 hellish years taught me more than just what I was physically capable of enduring. They taught me about self-worth, about not sacrificing everything for someone who gives nothing in return, and about the importance of balance. My buddy Kevin summed it up perfectly during our fishing trip last month. You know what's ironic? If she'd just been patient and not gotten greedy, she'd still be living in a paid-off house with a husband who worked his ass off for her. "Her loss," I said, casting my line into the lake. Damn straight, Kevin nodded. Her very expensive loss. People ask if I'd ever get married again after all this. Maybe someday, if I meet the right woman who values partnership over what I can provide. Megan and I have been getting more serious lately, and she insists on paying her own way for everything, which is refreshing. But if I ever do put a ring on someone's finger again, you can bet your ass there will be an ironclad prenup involved. Some lessons you only need to learn once. Edit 1. Some people are asking if I have any regrets about selling the house instead of fighting for it in court. Not a single one. That house stopped feeling like a home the moment I heard Jessica planning to take it. Plus, the legal battle would have dragged on for years, and she might have gotten to stay in it during that time. This way was cleaner and gave me the satisfaction of knowing she got exactly what she deserved. Edit 2. A lot of you are questioning the legality of selling a marital home without the spouse's signature. In my state, since the house was solely in my name and my wife was not on the deed or mortgage, I was legally allowed to sell it. My lawyer confirmed this before we proceeded. Laws vary by state, so don't assume this would work everywhere. Edit 3. Thanks for all the support and advice, everyone. This community helped me through some of my darkest moments, and I'm grateful. To those going through something similar, it does get better. Focus on healing yourself first, and the rest will follow.